Welcome back, folks. This is Tommy, Help with Gadgets, and we've got another knife from Mr. Eddy to take a look at. This is the Spartan-Harsey folder, and it's a pretty cool knife. Let's get into to some of the specs, and then we'll talk about compare it to some other knives for the size, and then give my conclusion at the end. Alright, this one is about a 4-inch blade, so this is not a small knife by any means. And you're looking at over 8 3/4 for the overall length of the knife. Alright, let's bring the handy dandy scale up and slide this back. Alright, let's go ahead and turn it on and let it tear out. And then we're looking at about a 6-ounce knife. It doesn't seem that heavy in pocket. I've actually carried this one around today, used it a little bit, so in my opinion, not that bad. All right, let's look at some other knives, and I'll tell you right now that most of the knives that we're going to look at are not going to be quite as big as this knife. We'll look at the Kaiser Sparrow. Let's move everything over to the left just a hair, I think. All right, and also the QSP Penguin. As you can see, both knives are not quite as big as that one. Let's look here at the Miguron Morial and the American Blade Works Model 1 Wharncliffe. Alright, as I mentioned, most of the knives, until we get to the end one, are not going to be close in size. There's the Kaiser Militaw and the Berg Blade Sweeney. Okay. Let's look at the CJRB Feldspar and the Northam Sky High. We'll look next at the Edec Everyday Field Duty. We'll go ahead and put another one down there. Leave that one in for just a second. And a Demco Shark Cub. Alright, look at a couple of Benchmades next. That'll be the Benchmade Bug Out. And also the Benchmade Osborne 940. Okay. And then last, certainly not least, let's take a look at the Microtech MSI, which was the one I was hinting that might be similarly sized. And also, let's look at the Kaiser Cyberblade, which is nowhere as long as the Spartan-Harsey. Okay. All right. Let's look at the thickness of this knife. And again, this is a fairly thick knife because it was one I would consider and kind of an overbuilt type knife. You can see there that the thickness is similar to the MSI, but just going to be nowhere near the thickness of, it's nowhere as thin as the Benchmade Bug Out. Okay, so thickness is a little bit more than what the Militaw would be. Also the Feldspar. This is the Miguron Morial, which is pretty thick in and of itself. And then the QSP Penguin. This is going to be a little bit thicker than. So for the kind of the width here, this is it against the Edec EFD. This is against the Militaw there. We'll bring in the Microtech MSI again, of course, because that one's kind of a similarly sized knife. I don't think I've shown the Miguron Morial here, but there you have that there. So just kind of gives you an idea of the width of this knife, how it would fit in pocket. It's going to take up a little bit of real estate. Let's see, blade steel on this one. There you go, S45N. This is a USA made knife. And of course it says Spartan blades there. And then the other writing on here is going to be that there. So, very cool clip. It does have a lanyard hole, and a fairly generous one. Get a pretty decent size lanyard in there. You do have it is titanium, and you have the lasering on the artwork on the knife. That's not the particular artwork that I would choose, but it's still very well done. The clip is very nice, has the arrow in it. Slides in and out of pocket just fine. There's no problem at all. This is not going to be, deep carry, but we'll show that in a few minutes when we slide it in the pocket. Jimping on this knife, there's some fairly aggressive jimping there at the top of the knife, and also here along the back edge. These the finger scoops here. That's just gonna. I mean, this knife is locked in hand when you grip it. Very comfortable in whatever configuration that you want to. That's not the greatest one, but that's okay. Feels good in the reverse grip. But I'm not really feeling any hot spots here. Maybe feeling the clip just a little bit in my particular grip here. So again, it's just a well-made, what I would consider to be a harder use knife than a lot of knives that we might normally carry. As far as opening methods on this this knife, you've got your thumb stud there. You can roll it open. It is running on washer, so it's not very easy to do a reverse flick. You can do that sometimes, but it's just not very easy. So just keep that in mind. Price, I think these run about $500. If I'm incorrect about that, I'll throw it up on the screen, but I'm pretty sure I saw some recent drop on this knife, and it was about $500. Detailing on it's just fine. Again, it is on washers, so it's not going to have the same type of action that you would have on bearings. Lockup, there's lockup on it plenty enough, and there's easy enough access to the lock bar there. It's not great, but it's decent enough. Blade finish is kind of a stonewash finish, which I really like. And again, scale materials titanium. I like these large pivot screws. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we've got T8s, at least T8s on the body screw, and I think it was a little bit more. Yeah, we've got maybe T10s here on the. No, maybe a little bit more than that. Let's try T15. Yep, T15's on the pivot screw. That's the one I used right there. So, all right, so nice sized hardware. I think those are T6s maybe on the. Let's check those out and make sure. No, those are T8s on the clip as well. Just checking that one to make sure. Those didn't look quite the size of those, but it's just a different size screw, of course. All right, let's look at how it fits in pocket. I've got a pair of pants that I use for that, and as you can tell, I've worn these before. Got a little bit of wear and discoloration there from sliding knives in and out of the pocket, but that's how it is with most of my knives. It's not gonna play nice with me for sliding in and out with it not being on, but slide it on down in there and give you an idea of how that one would look in pocket. So there you go. In actual pants that I'm wearing, I did not notice an issue with this particular knife about it going in and out of pocket with any problem. reaching in past the pocket to get something else that you may have in the bottom of the pocket. Like, for example, I carry a hank and some earbuds in my right pocket usually. If I'm going to slide my hand in to get those, I prefer a knife that's not going to shred my hands up, especially in these cold winter conditions when your hands are dry. Not a problem with this knife at all. So there you have that. All right. What do I think about this knife? I think it's an interesting knife. It wouldn't be one that I would recommend simply because it's not a knife I don't think that I would own and carry. Doesn't mean it's not a neat knife. It doesn't mean that it's not a knife that you should take a look at. It's just, for me, it's not the particular knife that I like. It does have some interesting things about it. It is comfortable in hand. I like how they did the blank for the screw, the pocket clip, which you could of course reverse here, and that's pretty neat to have something that's matches the knife and is pretty cool in the process. So that being said, it is a pretty cool knife, but not one that I would necessarily recommend. There you have it. If you've enjoyed this content, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about the knife. And you can even tell me I'm completely wrong about my assessment of this knife. But I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks.